With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Getting engaged is a moment worth cherishing. A one-of-a-kind ring that you design at Blue Nile can help your love sparkle. Just choose your diamond and setting. When you've found the one, you'll get it delivered right to your door. Finding the right engagement ring can be nerve-wracking. At Blue Nile, you'll have the expert guidance needed and a diamond guarantee that ensures you're getting the highest quality at the best price. Cherish all of life's moments and save up to 30% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Linford Christie, Colin Jackson, Sally Gunnell, Jonathan Edwards, a golden generation in the 90s at the World Athletics Championships for Great Britain. Super Saturday 2012 Olympics, Mo Farah, Jess Ennis-Hill, Greg Rutherford rewrote the history books in the greatest night of British athletics ever. But 7 years on, we have new heroes, a new chapter in this brilliant sport. This sport that might not get everything right all the time, but is real, is really world-class, and really gives anyone the chance to be a medal winner from anywhere in the world. Dina Asher-Smith carried the kit in 2012. Katarina Johnson-Thompson left the Olympic Stadium in London in tears in 2017. Now, we salute them. This is Anything But Footy, your unashamedly biased Olympic and Paralympic podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Michael. And I have to say, I think the World Athletics Championships got a lot wrong this week, and we'll discuss it in depth over the next 30 minutes or so. We'll have all the action from the end of the action in Doha. We'll also have details of the World Gymnastics Championships, which dovetails nicely and is underway now in Stuttgart in Germany. We'll be hearing from two potential Olympians, two potential Tokyo 2020 Olympians in Lauren Price and Rosie Eccles. They're boxing currently for Great Britain at the World Championships in Russia. They've been speaking to Anything But Footy, your Olympic and Paralympic sport podcast. Elsewhere in the world of sport, in our world this week, sailing. Team GB have named their first athletes for Tokyo 2020. Hockey, rowing, rugby sevens and swimming also on our agenda. And you can get in touch with us, anythingbutfooty@gmail.com. You can get in touch with us on Twitter at anythingbutf. And we're on Facebook, on Instagram and on YouTube as well.
And please share, like, subscribe to us and rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We always love hearing from you. So the World Athletics Championships in Doha. So much to discuss. The rights, the wrongs, the heroes and villains. But from a great British point of view, 5 medals in Doha, 1 down from last time in London and 2 down on the target. But 2 new names to most people, 2 British women leading the charge for Tokyo 2020, Dina and Katarina, the new generation for British athletics. Dina Asher-Smith and Katarina Johnson-Thompson. Michael, where on earth do we start with these two? Because these two were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think we should probably start with them on one of the very early episodes of Anything But Footy in January, February 2019, because that's when we predicted that it was going to be the Golden Girls for British athletics. We've been building up to this World Championship for months and months and months, and all along we've said we thought it would be the women that would do the business as far as British athletics, Great Britain and Northern Ireland are concerned. And for Dina Asher-Smith and Katarina Johnson-Thompson, they have done the business. And I think it's different stories for them, isn't it, really? Because you've got Katarina Johnson-Thompson, who was a former world youth champion, who Liu was 13th at the London Olympics in 2012 when, she burst onto the scene a little bit. We were anointing her the natural successor to Denise Lewis and Jessica Ennis-Hill. 2013, she was 5th in the World Championships. We're thinking, next time around, this is going to be the one. 2015, she was 2nd after day 1, and then 3 fouls in the long jump, and she didn't do it. Poor shot put, poor javelin, cost her in Rio 2016, and suddenly we were thinking, is Katarina Johnson-Thompson going to be one of the nearly names of British athletics? 2018 was a game changer, gold medal on the Gold Coast at the Commonwealth Games, a world indoor gold medal in the pentathlon as well, and suddenly Katarina Johnson-Thompson was on the starting block, she was on the run-up, and we thought she is a winner. Dina Asher-Smith is a slightly different story because although she has, built through naturally championships with London 2017 and Rio, she has been picking up medals here and there. She knows how to win, albeit as part of a relay team. And we were expecting her to explode onto the world stage. We thought this was going to be her moment. We thought she was going to seize that opportunity. And that is exactly what she's done. The first Briton to win 3 medals at a major global championships.
It's quite incredible that 2 women as well, British women, for the first time ever at a World Championships won gold medals. All those names that we think of in the past have never done it on the same year. And so for these, Dina Asher-Smith, 100-metre silver, 200-metre gold, 4x100-metre relay silver, Katarina Johnson-Thompson, that gold for the heptathlon. I think it has changed the way that we are probably going to be looking towards Tokyo. And as you rightly said, it was episode 15, I think, called Europe, Euphoria and Equality. We said that Katarina Johnson-Thompson was a bigger hope for gold than Laura Muir.
Yep.
Because if who has been the face of British athletics with Dina for the last couple of years, after she won that multi-event championships in Gotsis. And Johnson-Thompson, she's, as you rightly said, 2018 changed. She went away. She got out of her comfort zone from living at home and living in the south of France and really challenging herself. Changed her technique. Changed her coach. He also coaches the world champion, former world champion, Olympic champion in the decathlon as well. So great kind of people to be working with and training with, and it's just great to see because she's got a lovely smile and you just want to see it, and you always see Dina smile, and we've interviewed her so many times and she's always smiling, and Katarina always struggled and now she's got that smile back, and you just think this is amazing. Couple of questions then for you, Michael. Should we finally stop talking about Super Saturday because the British record that Jess Ennis-Hill now has gone? Mo Farah, we'll talk about him in a moment, I'm sure. Greg Rutherford's retired. We've got these 2 new superstars and hopefully maybe some more in the months and weeks to come. But should we stop talking about Super Saturday?
No, we should box Super Saturday in with, and the Rugby World Cup's going on at the moment, Johnny Wilkinson kicking over the post in the last seconds against Australia in Australia at the World Cup. We should box Super Saturday in with the 4-minute mile and Sir Roger Bannister. We should put it in that box with London.
So what you're saying is it's history,
yes,
but rather than at the moment, we're kind of still harking back to it going, it felt quite modern history. Do you know what I mean? It felt like it was still happening. It's 7 years ago. We've got new talent.
It's not something we should forget. It's up there with England winning the World Cup in 1966. 1066 was something very different. 1960.
One in the eye, that one.
1966. We should put it in though with those moments, and fantastic moments for British sport. But you've hit the nail on the head. Exactly right. It's history. We've got new stars to celebrate now. We should be quite rightly celebrating clean achievements, and I say that quite deliberately. Clean achievements by Dina Asher-Smith and Katarina Johnson-Thompson in a championship where there are a lot of achievements, some of which I look at fairly cynically, to be honest.
Yeah. And I want to talk to you about that in a moment. So that brings me on to Dina Asher-Smith. So I mentioned what she'd won, 100-metre silver, 200-metre gold. I mean, the 100 metres was world-class field. She was beaten by Fraser-Price and probably, you wouldn't argue with that result. Elaine Thompson, the Olympic champion, wasn't really there, and she then pulled out. Daphne Schiffers was injured. They all then pulled out of the 200 metres, all those 3. Of course, Shawnee Miller-Weibo of the Bahamas, who hasn't been beaten in the 200 metres all year, couldn't compete at Doha in it because she couldn't double up on the 400 metres, which she wanted to go for. She will be in the 200 metres at Tokyo because you can do the double at the Olympics. That's the big question mark for me, is have we seen Dina win gold in a race that wasn't quite world-class field, or am I being ultra-critical and am I worrying too much about the Olympics already?
You're being ultra-critical, of course. You are worrying about the Olympics too early, but you make some very, very pertinent points. It wasn't quite the field that we perhaps would like when we come to our major sporting occasions. When we come to the finals of a major global championship, whether it be the World Championships or the Olympics, we want to see the best athletes. We want to see the best clean athletes there running. And you can't get away from the fact that there was quite a long list of people that we thought would be in contention for medals to win that 200 metres that weren't on the starting blocks with Dina Asher-Smith. That said, you can only beat the people that are on the starting blocks on the day, and I don't think we should take too much away from Dina Asher-Smith for that. I don't think we should be saying it is a gold medal that was won easily, because no gold medals at major global championships are won easily. She beat the field. She was the best. She was the quickest. She was the first past the post. She got across the line before anyone else. Other people made their decisions because of the whatever reasons they had. And, this is a bigger point for me. There's lots of people in athletics that make decisions to compete, not compete in different events. And for various reasons, it doesn't always go right. So, for example, from a British point of view, you'll see a lot of athletes maybe don't choose to go to the Commonwealth Games. We saw Katarina Johnson-Thompson go to a Commonwealth Games, win a gold medal. We saw Dina Asher-Smith go to the Commonwealth Games, win medals. We've now seen them do it again on the global stage because they know how to win. They know how to handle the big occasion. So for all those people that didn't start, whether it was injury, whether it was because they chose to prioritise another event, that's their issue. Dina Asher-Smith's issue is that she got round that bend quickest of all, and she's a World Championship gold medalist.
290 days to go for Tokyo. I'm worried already, but that's fine. One other thing, I said right at the start, we salute Dina Asher-Smith and Katarina Johnson-Thompson, and my son, who's only 3 years old, as you know, Michael, spent all day yesterday as we were running around going, I'm Dina Asher-Smith, because he actually watched one of the races this week, and he now thinks every single person who competes in athletics is called Dina Asher-Smith. So she's made it in our house, and she is a superstar, and she will continue to be. So well done to both of those two. Let's just quickly talk about the other British medals, and then we'll go on to the rest of Doha. This is, of course, Anything But Footy, your unashamedly biased Olympic and Paralympic sport podcast. The 4x100 metre women, obviously, another great silver medal. They did it at London 2017, and they did it again with Dina and the team. The 4x100 metre men, I wanted to talk about that because obviously they were defending champions going into it, the only British men to win a medal. Adam Jamili had to come back after frankly throwing away a medal in the 200 metres. That's his words, not mine. He said, I ran like an amateur. And I think, if he looks back at the videos and listens to what Michael Johnson says, he absolutely spotted it at the time. He said he was rocking and rolling in the last 10 metres and really needs to just keep his form for that amount of time. He was leading with 150 metres go in the 200 metres. So Jamili came back and they performed brilliantly in that relay. They ran a European record, a British record, and only America, with, of course, Noah Lyles and Christian Coleman in the team.
And Justin Gatlin.
And Justin Gatlin, that broke a national record to win it. And that is going to be absolutely fantastic at Tokyo 2020, one of the must-see races between Britain and America. And, of course, you have the likes of Jamaica coming through as well. The 4x100 metre men did a really good job, I thought. Yeah,
I think Adam Jamili will come away from these championships and go, I've got another medal. I've got another medal at World Championships, as I did in 2017. He will also come away from these championships and go, once again, as far as an individual medal is concerned, and people have been pinning these on me now for quite some time, it's not happened for me again. I've had another fourth place finish. We talked about the thickness of the vest, didn't we, when he finished fourth in Rio? All he has to do, Adam Jamili, on the flight home from Doha, is have a little look down to probably first class, where they're sitting Katarina Johnson-Thompson and some of the others, and have a look at the way her career has gone, and we've just highlighted it a few moments ago on Anything But Footy, and think, my time's not passed yet. My time could still come. I might still be a global sprinting medalist. And I genuinely think for Adam Jamili, it will come good for him eventually. I think eventually all the disappointments will come to fruition. He will harness them all in the same way that Katarina Johnson-Thompson has in Qatar and get that medal. I'd also like to mention a few of the near misses as far as Great Britain's concerned. Laura Muir, she's not raced since July. She's had a bad calf injury. Fantastic time, 3:55.76. A lot of people were saying at the start of the year, not us, I should say, that she was going to win a medal here. She finished 5th in the 1,500 metres. What a run, by the way, by Hassan to win the gold. Ethiopian-born Dutch runner. Very emotional interview at the end, defending herself against those doping allegations because her coach, of course, Alberto Salazar, was banned this week for 4 years. Salazar is going to appeal against that one, but Hassan has had a magnificent, if just a little bit tainted by what's happened elsewhere, championships. Back to Great Britain, Jake Whiteman, I thought in the 1,500 metres, fantastic performance from him. Yep. Holly Bradshaw, we've been saying for a while, he's there or thereabouts. I'm going to put him in the same kind of category as, put Holly Bradshaw in the same kind of category as Adam Jamili and say I think that global medal will come for them. Callum Hawkins, is he going to get the nod for the marathon, potentially ahead of Mo Farah because he finished 4th? 6 seconds.
He led. He was leading with 2 miles to go.
I know, 6 seconds off a medal, 18 months since his Gold Coast collapse. You got Nick Miller, who I thought controversially missed out on a potentially a medal there in his event, the Hammer. Yeah. His appeal rejected.
He didn't foul.
Well, no, and I thought as Gabby Logan rather pointedly mentioned to Seb Coe, when she goes back to match of the day, she might bring VAR back with her to the next Olympics or athletics because I think with a few more camera angles, Nick Miller would have been reinstated. Tom Bosworth, 7th, top 8 finishes now for him in the walks in the Olympics, the Worlds and the Europeans, and a medal at the Gold Coast. And Laura Waitman, 7th, with a personal best time in what is a new event for her, 5,000 metres. Whilst everyone's been talking about Lindsay Sharp, Eilish McColgan in that middle to long distance, Laura Waitman, who was cut from funding, remember, a couple of seasons ago, continues to do it on the big occasion, continues to place well in finals at the major events. And, I think someone like Laura Waitman, and going back to what I said earlier about Dina Asher-Smith, Katarina Johnson-Thompson, they go to championships and they compete. They've got championship experience. They've got experience of competing on the circuit. They know how to win. They know how to run races. And I think that all bodes well. And these athletes that train and have potential all year round but pick and choose their events, for me at the moment, they're not quite doing it when it matters.
Yeah, personal best for Laura Waitman in the 5K. Personal best for Eilish McColgan as well, to be fair.
Yeah, okay.
And you can't do more than do your personal best in a world final. I thought Sophie McKenna, a personal best to qualify for the shot put final, was pretty darn good achievement for her in her first major championships as well. So some real standout potential, I think, as we move forward. Now, you mentioned Alberto Salazar, of course, former coach of Mo Farah, and he was, of course, the coach of Hassan, as you mentioned. Laura Muir describing that 1,500 metres race where she finished 5th with a cloud hanging over the race. Hassan finished 3:51.95, and her 2018 personal bests were 5 or 6 seconds off that. She went to Salazar knowing that he was under investigation, and she, as you rightly said, gave a very tearful and angry interview afterwards, and even Michael Johnson turned around and went, well, you don't want to do that. You ain't going to get your sympathy by that, by just getting angry about it. You need to prove that you are clean. You need to be out there saying, test me, test me, test me, all times of the day, and really being anti doping. Now, as you rightly say, Salazar is going to challenge this. The whole Oregon project he is going to take away and challenge at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. But some real question marks as well for British Athletics, who backed Mo Farah working with Salazar even after an investigation in 2015. And Mo as well, he's training for the Chicago Marathon at the moment. He's issued a statement statement, but all people want to know from Samo is what he makes of this, and that is what he needs to come out and just really talk about. He said, no, I have no tolerance for anyone who breaks the rules, but again, his silence is pretty deafening this week, which is a shame.
Yeah, 2 articles I would point listeners to anything but footy towards, other than what we're saying about it. There's going to be, I think, all over the BBC News media on the Monday after the championships end, an interview between Dan Rowan and Cara Bolsha. Now, Cara Bolsha was the kind of original whistleblower, if you like, for the Nike Oregon project. Dan Rowan, who is a forensic sports interviewer and correspondent, as we both know, has re-interviewed Cara. She's come out, and some of the headlines I've seen tonight, and the story's just breaking as we speak. She's saying the Nike Oregon project must be shut down. She said Mo Farah has shown poor judgment. She said the legacy is tainted. She wants all samples retested. Basically, she's saying there's huge question marks for Nike. Was this one rogue employee? Was this systematic abuse? So that is one article I would point people in the direction of. Ollie Holt in the Mail on Sunday would be another one that I think is well worth reading. He's been damning of much of the narrative of the past week. And if your name is Steve Cram, Seb Coe, Paula Radcliffe, you might want to switch off now. You certainly don't want to be picking up a copy of this article because you come in for particular criticism. Radcliffe did... it was an interview that Ollie Holt described not so much as a car crash as a multi-vehicle pile-up with a 10-mile tailback interview with Gabby Logan, in which she kind of suggested the ban on Salazar was originally sort of announced to deflect attention from the Christian Coleman situation. It wasn't made clear in the interview as well that Paula Radcliffe is on the payroll at Nike. Her husband coaches Mo Farah, who obviously has this association with Salazar. And this is the Paula Radcliffe that I remember holding up a banner in 2001 in Edmonton saying EPO cheats out. And yet, on this situation, on this occasion, she seemed to be sort of, I don't know if apologetic's the right word, but maybe making excuses. And this is something I've said before. And this is the leading athletes, the top athletes, when you see them on the top table, head of the big events, and you and I have been and covered Diamond League events, World Championships, Olympic and Commonwealth Games athletics. With all these things bubbling about in the sport, you want some of the big names to come out fighting for their position, fighting to win the trust back of the public. And what we've seen from the likes of Paula Radcliffe and Steve Cram, these national treasures as far as British athletics is concerned, they don't appear to have come out fighting this week. They seem to have sort of parked the trucks in the sand a little bit and tried to just protect their little domains, and that for me has been one of the huge frustrations. And this Ollie Holt article says that they are part of the problem, not part of the solution.
And where is the next World Athletics Championships?
Well, it's in Eugene in America, Nike Town basically. So if Lord Coe was and it's not,
if they wanted it to be quiet, it ain't going to be for the next 2 years.
If Lord Coe wanted to deflect attention after all the issues with Doha and the seats and the human rights record and the issues, of course, about pumping all the air conditioning into the stadium as far as climate is concerned, if he wanted a quieter championships, and Doha, to be fair to Lord Coe, has been thrusted upon him from a previous regime, Eugene's probably not the place he'd want to go. It's been I know we had our issues, didn't we, in London with the food poisoning and everything else that went on. But, you know, in my memory of covering World Athletics, this one has delivered as far as news stories are concerned. This one has kept us busy.
Yeah, it's after a quiet start, literally. The Khalifa Stadium and Doha delivered, I think, a pretty memorable World Athletics Championships.
Really
Some
well.
Amazing performances. I thought the light show was incredible, and it grew on me every day. And they've done it in the rugby before. I think they did it at the World Cup in Rugby 2015 for an England were non-existent. And it goes dark when you're in a stadium that goes dark. That's it. That's impressive stuff. But just one to wrap up on this. I mean, we could talk about athletics all day, and we often do, but 43 nations have won medals, 6 championship records have been set, 43 countries won medals, as I say, 68 different nations had at least one in a top 8 placing, so in a final, 21 area records and 86 national records have been broken. So, the timing of it was been criticised, end of season, all that, but actually these athletes have gone there and performed. And yes, there is a huge issue with pumping out air conditioning in an open stadium, but it has made the conditions absolutely perfect for people to go and perform. And these Doha Championships will be remembered, rightly or wrongly, but they will be remembered. And we move on, as you say, to Eugene next, and then Budapest in a couple of years' time.
And I know a lot has been said about empty seats. The crowds did build during the week. We said last week, didn't we, that the public were not going to come out and see sprints. They did come out to support middle and long distance races. There were 40,000 plus inside the stadium to see Barsham of Qatar win his high jump gold. So, if you're going to put sport on that people want to go and see, people will go and see it. And I think there'll be sporting events in this country that won't be magnificently supported and celebrated because they're just not what we want to watch. We like to go and see track and field in this country. The event built in Qatar. You're listening to Anything But Footy, your unashamedly Olympic and Paralympic sport podcast.
Still to come, the Women's World Boxing Championships. We're going to talk hockey, rowing, rugby sevens and para-swimming. But the Great British women's team have booked their place at the 2020 Olympic Games in gymnastics after reaching the final of the Team World Championships in Stuttgart. They'll return to that final on Tuesday after missing out last year. And congratulations to 20-year-old Ellie Downey, of course the Euro all-round gold medalist of 2017. 27-year-old Becky Downey, her sister, double European champion, maybe in her final Worlds after ankle surgery earlier this year. 18-year-old Alice Kinsella, the European beam champion. 18-year-old Georgie May Fenton, the Commonwealth bars champion. And 16-year-old Tyja James, the Commonwealth team champion. They've qualified 7th for these World Gymnastics Championships. Individual finals as well for Kinsella in the all-round on Thursday, Ellie Downey on the vault, and her sister Becky on the bars on Saturday. And the men, led by double world champion Max Whitlock, will be qualifying for a place in the team final and their Olympic Games spot this week as well.
In sailing, Great Britain has fielded sailors at the Olympic Games on every episode of the Games since 1900. And in 2020, they will return to the same water as 1964, although I suspect there'll be more plastic these days in Enoshima Harbour, something that Olympic sailor and gold medalist Hannah Mills has been talking about at length and very importantly too over recent weeks. It means, of course, that Great Britain will send a sailing team that will be well represented and will have high hopes as they head to Tokyo, and the first 12 members of that sailing team have been announced this week. So Team GB has a dirty dozen which have already been anointed to go to Tokyo. They are definitely on track to Tokyo. Great Britain has won 58 sailing medals since 1900, more than any other nation, 27 of those gold. So far we've announced 12 sailors across 8 disciplines for Enoshima Harbour. Giles Scott returns in the Finn, won a gold medal in Rio. Hannah Mills comes back, of course, a gold medal in Rio 2016, but a new partner this time around, Aidy McIntyre, whose dad won a gold medal 32 years ago in the star class. They're in the 470 women's event. Luke Patient and Chris Grube, they won a silver medal in London, or Luke Patient's won a silver medal in London. They will be the pair for the 470. You've also got Charlotte Dobson, Saskia Tidy, Dylan Fletcher and Stuart Bethel, another silver medalist from London in the 49er class, Alison Young in the laser radial, and then in the RSX class, or windsurfing as we know it, Tom Squires replaces the evergreen Nick Dempsey, who competed for Great Britain in 4 Olympics, won 3 medals, is now the official team photographer and partner of Hannah Mills, in fact, and Emma Wilson. They'll both be competing, Tom Squires and Emma Wilson, in the windsurfing. Still some sailors to be announced. The mixed multi-hull teams and the men's one-person dinghy will complete that sailing team. But the first 12 announced for Tokyo 2020 by Team GB this week.
World Athletics Championships is at an end. Gymnastics started in Stuttgart. It's also the World Women's Boxing Championships in Ulan-Ude, which is a city in eastern Siberia in Russia. Yeah, they'll be hoping for warm things, Michael.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the boxing. because GB boxing, and I was there, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, I went down to see the guys in Sheffield. It's interesting because they're a slightly different programme, I think, to a lot of those NGBs that run Olympic sport in this country. Because unlike, say, gymnastics or athletics or sailing, they haven't really got a remit for kind of grassroots involvement or mass participation. GB Boxing is purely and simply an organisation that exists to get boxers to the European Games and to the Olympic Games as Team GB and win medals. Now, the men's championships happened in Russia a few weeks ago, and we've discussed that. There are 5 Olympic categories this time around for women: flyweight, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight and middleweight. And we've got 7 women in the boxing championships in Russia at the moment. Some of those in categories, or one of those in categories that aren't an Olympic sport. So Demi Rezdan is one of those, won a silver medal at the European Championships. She's a light flyweight boxer, but the belief is that she can step up. Although Tokyo is not on the agenda for her, Paris could be on the agenda, and Los Angeles could be on the agenda as well. And one of those that's going well so far, and is one of the most interesting stories as far as the women boxing programme in Great Britain is concerned, is Rosie Eccles, because in the welterweight category, Great Britain sent Sandy Ryan and Rosie Eccles. And remember, in the Olympics, you can only send one in each weight category. Now, Sandy Ryan is already out as we speak. She was the gold medalist on the Gold Coast in 2018, beating Rosie Eccles. But Rosie Eccles, in the past year, has won the European Games, beating Sandy Ryan, although Sandy Ryan was suffering from a bit of illness. So, you know, they've got a tremendous rivalry going. Only one of them can go forward for the qualifications, which begin in London shortly. And as I said, Sandy Ryan is out. Rosie Eccles is still in because she beat Lucia Perez of Argentina in the round of 32 and now faces a Chinese boxer in the round of 16. I have been speaking to her ahead of these championships, and she's been telling me at her training camp ahead of her competition about the event.
I always love it when I get out there fighting, you know, all the training's done, and, you know, there's definite buzz about it. And I think this year's going to be something a bit more special. I think everyone knows the Olympics are coming up, everyone's wanting to set their marker really and show where they're at, and hopefully at the top going into the Olympic qualifiers.
And that Olympic qualifier, the first one is in London, and then things get real, don't they?
Yeah, things are getting pretty damn real now, really, because, you know, for us, only one of each weight gets to go to the Olympic qualifiers. So this performance at the Worlds is, and our previous performances are what will dictate who goes. So it's like that one step at a time, but it goes Worlds, hopefully qualifiers, and then Olympic Games, which is mental to think this time next year that's almost, you know, it's all done, really.
And you've got a battle royal on your hands, as we know, to get there with somebody that you work with in this room, Sandy Ryan, as well.
Yeah, of course. You know, obviously I've just beat her last month, which was, you know, is a good statement. And, you know, it wasn't so much about who I'm boxing, it was more about the pressure of that situation, and I felt I dealt with it really well. But, you know, the race isn't over till it's over, and I think, you know, you've got to stay humble and keep your head down and chip away and work hard. And, you know, I'm aiming to go into the Worlds at a better shape than I went to the Europeans, and then hopefully then into the Olympic qualifiers a better shape than before, and then into the Olympic Games. So it's about chipping away and staying humble and keeping your head down and working hard, and that's kind of what I'm at.
What's it like coming into work every day with one of your biggest rivals sat there at the same water machine as you, getting a cup of tea with you afterwards? Yeah,
well, we don't really drink much tea together. I'd definitely say that. But no, do you know what? Everyone asks me about it, and, you know, and I always say this similar thing. I say, look, we want the same thing. Only one of us can have it. And naturally that breeds, you know, we're never going to be best mates. But what I respect is the fact that actually having that someone there, I think I'm always a sort to push myself. But, you know, when someone's right there, it makes you push even harder, makes you train smarter, train harder, you know, work on the things you need to. Because actually, not even your pace at qualification, some people know they'll be the ones really going to qualifiers. You know, for me, it's that extra push to find those extra margins to do even better. And so it's a motivator for me, really.
That's Rosie Eccles speaking to Anything But Footy, your Olympic and Paralympic podcast, talking about her rivalry with Sandy Ryan and who'll get the nod, that all-important nod to try and qualify for the Olympics. Interesting that she was saying there they were never going to be best mates, and that strong rivalry really, really pushing each other. I kind of suggested they might have a cup of tea together, but she kind of shot me down in flames as far as that is concerned. Just to round up a few of the other boxers in the flyweight category, Tori Ellis-Willits is already out. She lost in the round of 32. Karis Arting-Stall won silver medal at the European Championships. She is through and faces a boxer from Tajikistan in the round of 16. Paige Murney, unfortunately out, lost to a boxer from Kazakhstan in the round of 32 in the lightweight category. But Lauren Price in the middleweight category, she is through to the round of 16. She was a bronze medalist in 2018. She was a gold medalist at the European Games, and we've also been speaking to her on Anything But Footy. She, remember, is the 4-time world kickboxing champion. She won 50 caps playing football for Wales and has dreamt about being in the Olympics, of course, for years and years and years. And she told me that she was really looking forward to getting into the action in Russia.
It's a dream come true for me. Obviously, first time representing Team GB last month in the European Games and winning gold medal, beating the Olympic silver medalist, Anushka Fontin. Have given me massive confidence leading into these Worlds. I've had 10 weeks of preparation. Everything's going well. I've had top sparring against America. So yeah, camp's been going great. Been getting some good results in my S&C and my runs as well. So yeah, my confidence is right at the top for going into these Worlds.
Yeah, qualifiers start after these World Championships. Is part of the development, the training, going to events like the Gold Coast and the European Games and being in that multi-sport environment and the logistics of making sure you're where you need to be at the right time and all of that?
Yeah, definitely. It's all preparation. Well, for me anyway. That's how I look at it. It's all preparation for obviously next year. It's been my dream since I was 8 years of age to go to an Olympic Games, and all these little boxes just taken away, and all these tournaments, and obviously. It's happy days when you're bringing back a gold medal in it, but that's all I got on my mind. Is these Worlds now coming up, and next year it's on my mind every day.
Lauren Price speaking to Anything But Footy, having dreamt about being in the Olympics, John, since the age of 8. Does that sound familiar?
Certainly does. Oh dear. And she hopefully is a lot nearer than some of us. British Rowing is launching its new charitable foundation, Love Rowing, at a sparkling gala dinner in November to help raise money for it. So Matthew Pinsent, Greg Searle, Alex Gregory and Lauren Rolls will all be there at the Cutty Sark on Thursday the 21st. Love Rowing aims to help change young people's lives by giving them the chance to experience the sport through a number of key projects and initiatives. For example, 2019 World Rowing Championship bronze medalist Josh Bugashaki grew up on a council estate in Stockport, and he's backing the idea and admits when growing up, sports like rowing practically didn't exist, which pretty much probably sums it up.
British hockey, of course, had some great success, certainly as far as the women were concerned, in Rio in 2016 on what was one of the most memorable sporting occasions I've ever witnessed. Great Britain's women warmed up for their Olympic qualifiers against Chile with a Test Series win over India. They drew 2-2 in the final test. The Test Series also marked a 50th cap for Maddie Hinch, who you remember was so impressive in that Olympic final in the penalty shootout against the Dutch. They won the 3-game series 1-0.
The World Para Swimming has confirmed its popular World Series will be returning to the UK in 2020. One of 7 cities across 4 continents hosting the competition from February to June. Sheffield will stage the event between the 9th and 12th of April next year. The 4th consecutive year Great Britain has hosted it, but in a different city each time.
And Rugby Sevens, of course, yielded a medal for the men's team, silver medal in Rio. And they'll both be back, of course, having qualified after winning their European qualifying events. The women finished 4th last time around. So both will be back in Tokyo. Interesting as well to see how the Rugby Sevens goes down in Japan, which is currently hosting what appears to be a very successful Rugby World Cup, well supported. Yeah. I'm sure the Rugby Sevens will be one of the highlights of the next Olympic Games. Simon Amar, the current England Sevens head coach, will lead the men's squad. He coached them to that silver medal in Rio. And Scott Forrest, who is the current Scotland Sevens head coach, will lead the women's team.
I always remember the Rugby Sevens at Glasgow 2014 being a lot bigger than I ever really imagined it. I didn't really pay that much attention to Rugby Sevens, and then being there in Glasgow and that weekend where I think they held it all at Ibrox from memory, and it was absolutely brilliant and absolutely full to the rafters.
It wasn't great if you were trying to get a train somewhere else in Glasgow that day. I remember that mainly, trying to get a train to, some tiddlywinks or something that I was going off to see. And
Lord Bowles.
Yeah, love the lawn bowls. Love the lawn bowls. Highlight of the Gold Coast, the lawn bowls. Yeah, everyone was off to Ibrox, as you say. And on anything but footy, let's finish with some footy. The football. We should come up with a different name. The Lionesses lost to Brazil in front of nearly 30,000 people. Fantastic crowd at the Riverside Stadium on Teesside in Middlesbrough. And just to mention as well, the Lionesses will be playing Germany in a friendly shortly at Wembley Stadium. And they've sold over 75,000 tickets for that.
Yeah, the manager, soon-to-be Team GB, of course, football manager Phil Neville, has said the fourth defeat in 5 games was not acceptable. Their next one is Portugal on Tuesday. So, look, a new generation of names to celebrate from Doha, the World Athletics Championships. We've also been doing a new thing on Anything But Footy, our flash briefing on Alexa. If you've missed it, it sounds a bit like this.
Alexa, what's my news?
Here's your news in the latest Olympic and Paralympic sports headlines.
This is Anything But Footy. I'm John, and Dina Asher-Smith is the first British woman to win a medal in the 100 metres. And stand by this week, because another opportunity to get more from Anything But Footy as we launch #GBBosses. Stay with us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook for more. We can't wait for that, can we, Michael?
No, GB Bosses is going to be really good. I'm not at liberty to say too much about it at the moment, but I know that episode 1 is an absolute corker. If you're a fan of sport in this country, if you're a fan of things like funding, and you're a fan of talent identification and how we get our elite athletes to the Olympic Games, GB Bosses from Anything But Footy, the first episode, is well worth a listen.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Today, I want to talk about the hellscape that is technical diagramming, right? Everybody's nodding their heads right now, And there is a potential solution that I want to share. There was one name that several people brought up. I did some digging, and it's kind of nuts how much this program Miro has for developers. I have to share this. It could potentially be a game changer for you. So my favorite part about Miro is that half the work is already done. Like right now, typically we spend hours starting diagrams from scratch, right? Gathering information, you get buy-in from every team. Following up, that's a lot of work to do. But Miro has a full set of integrations with the tools you're probably already using. And they also offer open APIs and SDKs for custom solutions for all those niche diagramming use cases we have to do, right? So the end result is the same, but it doesn't take forever. It's a massive, massive time saver. I'm transforming basic flowcharts and network architectures, and it all lives in one place. So are you using Miro? Have you used it? I want to hear.